Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Basic Gardener. And here we are again in the shed with some tips on cacti. Now, we've got some do's and don'ts coming up here. I've been growing cacti since about 2019, and in those sort of 3 years of growing cacti, the thing that I've really learned, and I cannot stress this enough, is the watering. That's where I've gone wrong so many times, and that's why so many of these guys I've lost. Now, the first ever cacti I got died through overwatering. Second cacti died through overwatering, but the second cacti was bought at the same time as the one that I'm struggling to get into frame, and that is this guy. Now, this cactus, I named him Rob, is a bunny ear cactus, and the only real mistake I've ever made with Rob was putting him on a windowsill and having had him on the windowsill, closing the curtains and breaking a couple of his bits off. But fortunately, I have managed to propagate off Rob, and create a whole new cactus. And it obviously is rooted, because as you can see there, there's some little bit of new growth there. But this was one of the bits that broke off. I took two. Unfortunately, the other one didn't make it, but in that little Percy Pig pot, he survived. The only other mistake I've made, and you'll see it on the other side, you may be able to pick this up, is if you sort of see this area here, it's sort of not really the right shade when you look at the new sort of growth. That come down to the fact I put him out in the sun, and this is the two main don'ts with cacti. If you have cacti, don't be fooled that when it's a nice hot day, they're tropical plants, they can take the heat, because if you've had this sat indoors on a windowsill or indoors in a shaded area and then you put it straight out into the sun, it's going to get burnt and it's going to look pretty bad and it won't recover fully. And I've made that mistake on many a time with Bob 1. That mistake was made, and now we're on Bob 3, and Bob 3's about 4 months old, 5 months old, and he's going pretty strong. The only other major thing is the watering. These guys at the minute, because it's the summer, get watered once a month. Once a week. In the winter, once a month maximum, if that. And during this time as well, I've got a feed which I swear by. I've been using it now for probably a year. The Learn Baby Bio Cactus food. This is a big do. Get yourself one of these. They're only a couple of pound in most garden centres, or even in anywhere that sells gardening products. The best thing about this is the application between April to September, obviously the growing season, and you do it, I believe it's once a month. Yeah, feed once a month. So pick a day, first of the month, or somewhere, whatever fits in with your schedule, and never forget to use some of that. The watering's the main thing. And this guy, Rob, when I first got him, he was only had these sections here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 up here. I wish I had a picture that I could show you of how far that's come on. And then if we just have a quick look at Cuthbert, a bit of a weird shape, bit of a rude shape in a way. Yeah, Cuthbert is certainly an interesting one, because when I first got Cuthbert, he was inside this pot here, and you cannot believe that used to fit in there. I mean, the amazing rate of growth of this one. And this brings me on to my final point, and this is the last thing I'd say to anybody who fancies growing cacti, and that's if you put them, like I have them down here in the shed, if you have them facing out toward the sun, they will start to bend that way. So it's a good rule. I mean, if you look at Rob here, he's just starting to bend in the direction of the sun. He was sat this way. So I'm just going to come along and turn him round, and then that will just keep the growth on these guys nice and straight. That's not a succulent, that's not a cacti, that's a succulent. That will be coming in a future video. Very cacti-like. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, Cuthbert, without being rotated, pretty much ends up flopping sort of over to one side and looks pretty rubbish. So that's pretty much all we got time for today. Just some tips on your house plants, on your cacti. I love these plants. I think they're great fun. I've only ever had one flowering cacti, and that was Cuthbert, but I don't really count that because he was flowering when I bought him. If I can get him to flower this year, you guys will be the first to know. Please don't forget to put a like on the video, subscribe to the channel for some more gardening tips, and yeah, just have a lovely day. Thank you very much. And I said at some point we'd be coming back to the antirrhinum little seedlings that I moved on, and here they are. That's how these guys are getting on. They're certainly grown since that first video. If you want to have a look at that, I'll put a link in the description to that first video. And we'll be looking at herbs next. That's where we're heading towards, herbs. And I've just bought this lemon balm as well, and that will be all included in the next video.